Top 10 non-conference matchups 2025 right here at the Voice of College Football. You've got your opinion on the games that you want to see most coming up this fall. Please leave those comments down below. Please like and subscribe as well. Let's get right to it with a bonus thrown in. A tie for 10. Bama, Florida State get together in Tallahassee for the first time ever. Bama leads the series 3-1. Last time they got together in much different circumstances, with number 1 taking on number 3, both coming off disappointing down seasons. But Mike Norvell and company took it to a new low. Yes, Kalen DeBoer feeling the heat off of 9-4, but what about 2-10? We've got a couple of new quarterbacks in play. The last time they met, Florida State pulled out a win was 2007, 21-14 in Jacksonville. Number 10 on our list, an August 30th showdown with Florida State hosting Bama. Tied for 10th on our countdown on that same day in Boulder, it's Deion Sanders minus Shadur minus Travis Hunter taking on Georgia Tech. Of course, Deion's done a remarkable job with the Buffs, taking them from previous 1-11 to 4-8 to 9-4 to big question mark again without his stars in play. Georgia Tech and Jeff Collins seem to be headed in the right direction as a program, coming off 7-6 despite a bowl loss to Vandy. They stepped up in their marquee opportunities against the likes of Miami, pulled off an upset win, and against Georgia, taking the Dogs to 8 overtimes. They, of course, split a national championship in 1990. They can make that decision on the field this time around on August 30th. Our tied for 10th top non-conference matchup right here at the Voice of College Football. Speaking of national championship impacting games, remember 1998 when Tennessee took a trip to the Carrier Dome and, based on a controversial play and pass interference call on the final drive, eked out a win against Syracuse en route to an undefeated national championship season. Here we are in 2025. It's a return trip from the Vols, taking on Fran Brown after that remarkable first year at 10-3, but was it more Kyle McCord or was it Fran Brown? We will find out. Tennessee, of course, a college football playoff participant in the first 12-team year. Nico Iamaleava, we'll see if he takes off and breaks through as a superstar in college football. We've got Tennessee, we've got Syracuse, and we've got another big showdown on August 30th. Let's head to the opposite end of the calendar to check out our 8th top non-conference matchup for 2025, and it's familiar foes to rule the Palmetto State when Clemson takes on South Carolina, and two of the best starting quarterbacks returning in college football. Lenore Sellers' breakout year in 2024 against Cade Klubnik. We could say the same about the Clemson signal caller leading the Tigers to an ACC championship, but of course there was the rivalry loss to South Carolina in the final minute. Also an embarrassing loss to Georgia, so Clemson needs to step it up against non-conference foes on a big stage, and they will have that opportunity, of course, to close out the season. A college football playoff bid could be on the line, as it appeared to be this November. South Carolina, Clemson for bragging rights and possibly more. Mid-October in South Bend is special. Every other year when USC comes to town, two of the premier brands in college football, the greatest cross-sectional rivalry in the game, no question about it. But will it matter on the field? We're more confident about Notre Dame's status, of course, coming off a national championship game under Marcus Freeman. New quarterback replacing Riley Leonard. Most likely is going to be Steve Angeli taking on what we expect to be Jaden Maiava. He gave the Irish fits all game at the Coliseum in 2024, but threw some costly interceptions down the stretch as the Irish won at 49-35. This should be a good one. Lincoln Riley and his USC team will be battle-tested at this point. We will know if USC is truly a contender at this point. The two previous games, Illinois and Michigan for the Trojans. Mid-October at South Bend, USC Notre Dame, nothing like it. These two fan bases hate each other. The school should play more often. Miami versus Florida. The two, of course, got together to open 2024 at the Swamp as Miami stomped the Gators 41-17. But subtract Cam Ward, insert Carson Beck from Georgia on the Miami side. And now enter the presence of one DJ Lagway. Mighty impressive, as was the entire Florida football team down the stretch, in going 5-2 against what we thought was a daunting, crushing program killer for Billy Napier. But he survived And now Florida's got a breath of fresh air entering 2025. They go to Hard Rock to take on Miami September 20th. Big brands need a big turnaround when Michigan meets Oklahoma in Norman September 16th. The Wolverines, of course, coming off 8-5, but with a huge finish with victories against Ohio State and Alabama. Sharon Moore in his second season. Who will be the quarterback on the third weekend of the season? As you got Bryce Underwood, the hotshot 5-star coming in, but Mikey Keene in from as well. Fresno State, it should be a quarterback battle with Davis Warren included as well. On the Oklahoma side, Jackson Arnold is gone, but they've got their guy in John Mateer from Washington State. Brent Venables needs to turn it around. 6-7, 2 of his 3 years in Norman. That won't cut it, especially when the competition, Texas, is lighting up the SEC. Michigan, OU, they've met once, the 1976 Orange Bowl. OU a 14-6 winner. The key point to Notre Dame's breakthrough to a national championship game in 2024 may have actually come in week 1. Fourth quarter, 13-13 game. The offensive line and Riley Leonard came of age. Notre Dame, of course, now a national championship contender with a new quarterback, most likely Steve Angeli, taking on Texas A&M once again with Marcel Reed this time at quarterback in place of Connor Wigman after Reed won the job in a comeback win against LSU. Mike Elko, second season. Look out for Texas A&M. Marcus Freeman has now established himself as one of the great coaches in the game. Notre Dame hosting A&M. As we reach number 3 on our list of top 10 non-conference matchups for 2025, we appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. Please like the video and subscribe. Clemson, LSU, the battle of the Death Valleys. Dabo Swinney has cited the matchup in the Peach Bowl in which Taj Boyd converted a 4th and 16 comeback win for Clemson in 2012 as being one of the big stepping stones to Clemson reaching the elite of college football. But again, it's been a tumble in recent years for Clemson. They did win the ACC, but of course were outclassed by the top of college football. Texas and Georgia include South Carolina. Facing LSU and Brian Kelly, not a bad start to his LSU career in terms of record at 29-11, but falling far short of expectations. He was hired to win championships. Enter year 4. He's lost big non-conference games to Florida State, and USC. It's LSU, it's Clemson. It should be a good one. Game number 3. While USC and Notre Dame has withstood the test of time in terms of prestigious name brands meeting on the gridiron each and every year, this was a cross-sectional rivalry that was built on the moment. Lightning in a bottle. Miami and Notre Dame, they get back together at Hard Rock Stadium. Of course, the place was electric and rocking when Miami raced out to a 10-0 record in 2017 in the biggest win of the season, a 41-8 rout of Brian Kelly and Notre Dame. This time it's Marcus Freeman and his bunch coming to town, and they've got a slew of big game victories under their belts after reaching the national championship game. No Cam Ward, of course, Carson Beck in place for a Miami team looking to win the ACC championship for the first time, unbelievably so, since they entered the league in 2004. Notre Dame, Miami, game number 2 on our list of top 10 matchups for 2025. We have now reached the summit of our top 10 non-conference games list of 2025. And Texas gave Ohio State all it could handle, its toughest challenge en route to a national championship. 1 yard away from tying the game in Dallas, but Jack Sawyer, the hit, the scoop, and the score, and Ohio State rolls on for a 2-touchdown win. The two get back together in Columbus. Keep in mind that this series has been exquisite. They had a home-and-home in 2005, 2006. They split those 2 games, but of course, Texas won it behind Vince Young in the final 30 seconds in Columbus, 25-22. This is the return trip, the only game played at the Horseshoe between these two. They had a Fiesta Bowl in 2008, and then, of course, the Buckeyes win in January. 2 new quarterbacks in play. The Arch Manning era has been much anticipated in Austin. Julian Sand, most likely the Buckeye starter in week 1, August 30th, Texas, Ohio State. Could they possibly live up to the showdown that they had this past January or the one game at the Shoe in 2005? Leave your comments and questions down below. We would love to see your list of most anticipated games for 2005. Please like and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football.